1 John 4:4 says, ye are of God, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. So it starts out by saying, you are of God. So sometimes you got to be, you remember when I said, I think on last week, I said, listen, before you get ready to speak to whatever you got to speak to, build yourself up. Get your faith up there where it needs to be. So when you do speak to it, it's, so maybe you might have to do this. You are of God, little children. What is that? Hey, you have been born from above. You are a brand new creature, which means you are the righteousness of God. You are citizens of heaven. You are in a blood covenant with Jesus, which means everything that he has belongs to you. And he has given you his power and authority over this earth. So you got to say, man, doing I got that. You told me to go. You gave me power and authority. The blessing of Abraham is on you. You are blessed, and you was commanded to be fruitful and multiply. And remember when we did that series on that, and we said that God blessed us with the same ability to create and produce with our words that he did when he created this earth. So your words are blessed and they have power. Now, when you know that, you say, you know what, this is just not me saying this. Jesus is inside of me when I'm speaking these words. So you have to know. It says, ye are of God, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. And then just meditate on that. Man, Jesus inside of me. He's greater. He done defeated Satan. He done went down there in the hell and stripped him, took the keys. I'm above all of that. And I was thinking about that too. I was saying, I started to put that in there. I said Ephesians, in part of that prayer, says that we are far above all principalities and power and might and dominion and everything that is named not only in this world, but that which is to come. That means that everything that I could possibly face is already under my feet. Oh man, I can speak these words and I know what's going to come to pass. And we also got this promise from God. I don't know if I read this last week, a week or two, or maybe 2 weeks ago. And I told you this is the one. Now, when you get ready I told you this is the one that you say to yourself before you speak to your mountain. And that was this 1 John 5:14 and 15. This is how you know you're getting ready to speak to that mountain. And this is the confidence that we have in him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he heareth us. And if we know that he hears us, whatsoever we ask, we know we have the petitions that we desired of him. So this is why when you speak to your mountain, you can have confidence. So how do I know, why can I believe that what I'm saying is going to come to pass? Well, because you speaking to your mountain according to what his word says. You saying the same thing he said about your condition. When you do that, you know he heard it, so you say, listen, I believe what I said will come to pass. Now, I know it sounds easier than it is to do. Because while you're saying that, you could be laying somewhere with all kind of pain shooting through your body, or you could be laying somewhere in a mountain full of, bills that need to be paid or whatever, but you got to say that and say, okay. Then you just go through the process. That's what we call when we say meditate. Just go on it. And then remind yourself, okay, nope, I prayed according to his word. I know he heard me. I know I'm going to have these petitions. And then you just keep thanking God and keep holding on to it. So that's why you can have confidence. So he said you have to believe what you say is going to come to pass. That's part of the law. You can't waver with that. You got to say, I know what I'm saying is going to come to pass. And then you just got to, take it, like we said, receive it. Well, here's Mark 11:24, just to finish out that verse. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever you desire when you pray, believe that you receive them, believe that you take it, and ye shall have them. So that's what we want to do. That is a law of faith that works every time. Then we got corresponding actions too that you got to act on that. So now let's look at an example. I know I had to put the whole story in there. We all know this. Well, I'm pretty sure we've all read this before. But this is a story that's in the Bible, and this woman used the laws of faith in here to get this done. And this was even before it was even written in the New Testament. So this is 2 Kings 4:8 through 37. Says, and it fell on the day that Elisha passed to Shunem, where was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread. And so it was that as often as he passed by, he turned in thither to eat bread. And she said unto her husband, behold, now I perceive that this is a holy man of God, which passes by us continually. Let us make a little chamber, I pray thee, on the wall, and let us set up for him there a bed, and a table, and a stool, and a candlestick, and it shall be when he cometh to us, that he shall turn in thither. And verse 11, and it fell on the day that when he came thither, he turned into the chamber and lay there. So now he'd been enjoying this. This woman done set this up. Every time he come in there, he just go in there and got a place to stay, a place to relax. So now he's thinking about this, and he said to Gehazi, his servant, call this Shunammite. And when he called her, she stood before him. And he said unto her, say now unto her, behold, thou hast been careful for us with all this care. What is to be done for thee? Wouldst thou be spoken for to the king or to the captain of the host? And she answered, I dwell among my own people. In other words, she was saying, listen, I'm good. You know, and this woman was she was, when the research says she's a woman of financial, you know, she had means. She wasn't broke. She had good things. But this is what's important about her. This woman didn't desire any of the honors of this world. She hadn't given to Elijah in order to get some favor from him. She was just doing this out of the love of her heart. These are the type of people that the Lord loves to bless the most. I mean, she just said, this is a man of God. She wasn't like, well, maybe if I do this, he might. It wasn't anything like that. She was just doing that. And in the New Testament, it said that anytime you bring in a prophet, then you get a prophet's reward. Well, she got a big one here. So that's what she was doing. So look at verse 14 says, and he said, what then is to be done for her? And Gehazi answered, verily, she hath no child, and her husband is old. So this woman, now this is going to be important in part of when we get to the later part of this story. This woman didn't ask for no child, right? She didn't ask for nothing. Gehazi, the servant was the one who suggested it, and it said that her husband was old, so he wasn't able to do nothing. So this had to be a miracle. If anything was going to happen, it was going to have to be a miracle. So then he called her, verse 15, and he said, call her, and when she called her, she stood in the door. And he said, about this season, according to the time of life, thou shalt embrace a son. And she said, nay, my Lord, thou man of God, don't lie unto thy handmaid. Now she was like, man, wait a minute now. This just sounds too good to be true. Now this is just out of the blue. She didn't ask for no son, right? She didn't ask for anything. I guess that'd be like somebody coming up to you and say, hey, you know what, this time next year, I'm going to give you this $250 million house. And you'd be like, wait a minute, don't be telling me no stories now. Because she was looking at this, man, she didn't want to be let down. So this is not saying that she didn't want a son. She was just expressing her shock at such a gift. She wanted it more because back then it was kind of shameful for a woman that didn't have a child. So she really wanted this child. And just think of the faith that this had to be on even Elijah's part. To just come up to her and say, you know, this time next year, you're going to have a child. So I don't know if the Lord gave that to him to say to her or if he just was just using his faith. But, okay, verse 17, and the woman conceived, bare a son, and at that season that Elijah had said unto her, according to the time of life, so she had the child. And here we go, the change. Here comes the faith stuff. And when the child was grown, it fell on the day that he went out to his father to the reapers. And he said unto his father, my head, my head. And he said to a lad, carry him to his mother. And when she had taken him and brought him to his mother, he sat on her knees till noon, and then he died. In the next verse, and he went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God and shut the door upon him and went out. All right. Already, right there, instantly, she went into her faith mode. She wasn't accepting her son's death. She didn't ask for this son. She figured this was not a natural child and therefore subject to the same thing that could happen to another child. She's saying, listen, you gave me this child. This was a gift of God. This child is not dying. She took that boy up there and put it on that, and she said, this is a gift of God, and here comes Satan to kill, steal, and destroy. And you know what? We should do the same thing. If God has blessed you with something, or has done something great in your life and you're enjoying it and then something happened and it looks like it's going to be taken away, well, we can't have the attitude, man, I knew it was too good to be true. Because we do stuff like that. Something happened and, oh man, the Lord done gave me this thing and now somebody done slammed into my car and wrecked it. Maybe this wasn't God. No, that's just the enemy coming in to steal, kill, and destroy. So you got to do what she did, shut the door on him. She shut the door on the boy. How many mothers could turn away from their children who had just died in their laps and go for hell? There is another law of faith. Your first words and first response have to be faith and not fear.